So that's the sovereign mind method. And as you can see firsthand, it results in the liberation from limiting beliefs that have held us back our entire lives. It's quite simple. It was engineered to be simple so that anyone can learn to facilitate it for themselves. You are your guru. You are your healer. And I'm just here reminding you that that's your power. All right, I'm going to go ahead and switch into presentation mode here. And so I'll actually share my screen for the next little while here. And also welcome, Elena. Great to have you with us. One of the opening concepts or ideas that I feel is really, really important to emphasize is this concept of remembering your power. Because when we talk about belief transformation, deleting limiting beliefs or shifting them, fundamentally, you are the creator. You are the sovereign creator of every single belief in your mind, in your psyche, in your body, emotionally. And you have full free will control and power over what you choose to believe. And no one can ever take that away from you. And my intention in this conversation is to help you remember, oh, this is how simple it can be. I don't have to feel like I'm not enough, like I'm not worthy, like I'm not important, not capable, if I just choose to let that belief go. And that choice is always your power. And so let's dive in. My name is Gladius Sovereign, and this is my story. Condensed story, I'll add. I faced a lot of adversity when I was a kid. I had a father that showed love through providing material comfort and success, but he dealt with a lot of his own repressed trauma, a lot of his own limiting beliefs, and carried around a lot of anger, carried around a lot of anxiety that would bubble up and would be directed towards me, towards my mother. And so the household I grew up in was very emotionally shaky, emotionally unstable. And so I developed a whole series of neuroses and limiting beliefs around feeling not good enough, not worthy, not safe, like I didn't deserve love was a key component for me that haunted me for many years. And ultimately, the strategy that I developed as a child to deal with that was to be an achiever, right? Like if I hustle, if I get good grades, if I'm successful, if I make money in sales and business, um, if I create all of these external circumstances that other people judge as worthy, as good, then I'll feel worthy and good enough inside. And guess what? That strategy didn't work. It's never worked for anyone who's tried it. The goalpost always moves because once I am, as an identity, not worthy and not good enough, those feelings will persist regardless of what external circumstances I create in my life, because it's an internal challenge, an internal belief system. And so, despite all of that, I still felt not good enough until I just decided that I was sick of feeling that way and that I wasn't going to tolerate being not worthy, being not good enough. And so I became completely obsessed, laser focused on creating a self-facilitated method that would allow me to free myself from my limiting beliefs forever. And so that was the impetus, that pain, that struggle. I alchemized that. I turned that into, okay, I believe that this is a problem that can be solved. I believe that other people have solved it. I'm going to learn from the greatest on earth. I'm going to synthesize a modality, a technology, a technique that I can share with as many people as possible. And so that's what I've done. At this point, I incorporated Sovereign Mind in February 2022. I've helped at least 255 people one-on-one, not including in group experiences, remove over 1,000 of their limiting beliefs. And so my primary focus, again, is synthesizing, taking the very, very best healing modalities and technologies that I discover in my journey, in my own healing path, and then condensing those with research, with practice, and just bringing them to you. That's my passion. That's what I love. So I'm a truth seeker, a freedom advocate, and I truly believe in serving in love. And so I want to give a couple of success stories to paint the picture of like what actually happens when we remove limiting beliefs. It can be like an etheric term. What does that even mean? Well, Ryan Black is an international dating coach. He approached me with a challenge of writer's block, and he was struggling with a downward spiral of negative self-doubt. And so we had one conversation. We identified what his core limiting beliefs were that were causing him to not feel comfortable, feel able to just do the writing that he wanted to for his business so he could create a lead magnet. And we just knocked him out of the way. I won't reveal what those are because obviously I always respect privacy, but even he in his case study shares that nothing he's ever tried took such a short amount of time to get results. And so after that one session, he felt immediately motivated to write 40 pages of a key lead gen tool that he used to close a high ticket deal, paid back his investment multiple fold. And that identity that he let go of hasn't come back. It's now been over a year since that conversation. And so Linda is another one of my past clients. She was dealing with a sense of stress and overwhelm. She knew that she needed to build a team in order to take her business to the next level, but she just felt completely cut off from that as a possibility. It felt terrifying. And she didn't understand why, because logically, I know that I need to grow my team in order to be successful. So why can't I do it? Well, she shared the exact beliefs that we cleared in our session. I have to do it all alone. I'm not smart enough. I can't do this. Can you see as a possibility that if someone is struggling with those beliefs, that it would be hard to feel motivated to grow the company? And so these are natural, these are human challenges. But when you let go of the belief, boom, suddenly I'm able to hire, take action, do the things that I need to do without the waves of emotional resistance. And so this is why I want to give just a little bit of context on the structure of beliefs themselves before we go into the actual experience and the deeper education, because this will lay a healthy foundation. So the first concept I want to deliver is that our way of being creates and reinforces our way of doing, and our way of doing creates and reinforces our circumstances in life, what we have. So at the very, very core of it all is your I am presence. This is your eternal state of being. On top of that is your capacity to make choices, to make intentions. And on top of that lies your core beliefs. And your core beliefs are what shape your thoughts, your actions, your emotions. And so notice that the core beliefs are actually in the causal level, and the thoughts and the emotions and the actions, those are just effects of what we believe deep down inside. So if you want to make a different action, if you want to experience a different emotion, if you want to shape your thoughts differently, let go of the core beliefs that are standing in the way of that. And so now I want to illustrate, how do beliefs get created in the first place? And so here we have an extremely common experience. We have a little girl who's being scolded by her father. And in this little girl's point of view, if you can imagine being that little girl, what does she see? She sees a physical giant man's face, her father's face, that's angry and stern. She's looking directly into his eyes. At the same time, she's feeling her heart race. She's feeling fear and sadness and shame and tension in her body, somatically and emotionally. So she's seeing her father, she's feeling that shame and that tension in her body, and she's asking a question. Why is this happening? Why? And subconsciously, she concludes that this experience, this moment is happening because I am not enough. If I were better, Dad wouldn't be treating me this way. Dad wouldn't be upset. It means that I'm not enough. And that meaning making happens unconsciously, automatically. And so these are the thoughts, the images, the emotions, the sensations that are coursing through her mind and body all at the same time. And so the belief, I am not enough, gets tied to the image of her father's stern eyes staring at her, tied to the emotion of fear and shame, and tied to the sensation of tension in her chest. And so Beliefs are psychosomatic, they're mind and body. And any methodology that attempts to address beliefs just at the emotional level, just at the somatic level, just at the mind level, won't offer complete lasting change. It has to address it at the layer of the thoughts, the images, the emotions, the sensations, the full spectrum of your mind and body in order to be successful. And so the very first distinction, the principle that I want to offer, and this underlies everything, is that our beliefs don't just make logical sense. Our beliefs make visual and emotional sense. They're tied to specific images in our mind, and they're tied to emotions and sensations in our body. And so the sovereign mind method starts with discovering what is the core belief that's holding us back. Once you've achieved that awareness and you've identified that core belief, we process the belief logically, we process it visually, and then we process it emotionally. And a belief that doesn't make any logical sense, doesn't make any visual sense, doesn't make any emotional sense, by definition, makes no sense and is nonsense. And nonsense is a key word. We'll see why in just a minute. When it comes to discovering our core beliefs. And so this is where we get to go into the experiential component. We'll be offering different exercises, and these are purely an invitation. You don't have to if you don't want to, but if you do, you'll walk away from this conversation with a greater sense of self-awareness, and there'll be the possibility of you actually letting go of these limiting beliefs during the call, which in my estimate is probably a good idea, but it's always up to you. And so when it comes to discovering beliefs, here's a core concept. If a particular belief actually really truly has no power over you whatsoever, then when you speak the words of that belief out loud, not in your mind, out loud, you won't feel anything. So what's an example of that? It's like if I speak, I'm a yellow ducktail, I don't get triggered with emotions and sensations in my body. I don't have racing thoughts in my mind trying to deny it. Like, that's not true. I'm not a yellow ducktail. I don't get defensive. It's completely neutral. It's like, I'm a yellow ducktail. That means nothing to me. However, if I say, I'm not worthy, I'm not important, I'm not capable, one of those might actually invoke some, oh, I feel tension in my throat. Oh, I feel sad in my heart. So by speaking the words of the belief out loud, that's how we can actually know if that belief is present, maybe not just in our mind, but in our body, emotionally, somatically. And so I'll recap that. We call this the sense test. It's the simplest way to know whether or not you actually have a limiting belief. Step one, after you've identified what the belief is, and we'll give you some candidates to play with. So that step one is just speaking that belief out loud. And step two is just noticing, does this make sense? Does this cause sensation in my experience, either mentally or emotionally? And so that can show up as emotions, like, oh, when I say I can't trust myself, I just feel sad. Sensations, when I say I can't trust myself, I feel my heart racing. I feel heat in my chest. It could be a sense of resistance. That's not true. I know that I can trust myself. Or it can be a sense of truth or agreement. No emotional quality, just like, yep, yeah, 2 and 2 is 4, and I can't trust myself. Equally true. Or it can just seem true and look right, depending on if you're highly visual or auditory as a processor. So I want to invite speaking some nonsense as an example, and feel free to join me in this. But I am genuinely curious, guys. If you speak the words out loud, I am a quaint rubber ducky, how do you experience that? So Elena, maybe come off mute if you feel comfortable. What was that like to say? What did you notice in your experience?
Nothing. Nothing. Just did nothing.
Pure neutral. Yeah. Did anyone else experience a light sense of humor?
I'm in touch with my inner quaint rubber ducky, so yes, I was laughing.
Right.
As well as my purple painted ponies and other fun-filled, joyous animals that should be roaming around.
Beautiful. Yeah, thank you, Ty. And so notice everyone that when we speak something that's actually nonsensical, it either feels neutral or it feels lightly humorous. So that's the baseline. And so we have some other nonsense phrases here. I can't speak English. I am blue divided by yellow. Right? So once we're connected to that sense of nonsense, then we can try speaking some limiting beliefs and seeing if any of these resonate. So I'm going to go ahead and throw a list of 4 or 5 of them here. And the invitation is try saying some of these and just see if any of them cause any sensation. Elena, Raj, Brent, curious if any of these brought on any sensation for you.
There's something wrong with me and I'm not worthy. Those two are the ones I went for.
Yeah. And I'm curious, did those feel different to you? Like the actual sensations themselves?
Like what? I was just like a few minutes ago dealing with this. There's something wrong with me. So
Wow.
I know it's already doing some releasing around it. Let's see. So yeah, I feel that in my back and my soul plexus. And I'm not worthy. It's more in my heart.
Right, right. That's great self-awareness. And so notice that our beliefs are actually stored in different regions of the body physically. So there's something wrong with me is sort of in the back. It's in the solar plexus. I'm not worthy has sensation in the heart. That's powerful awareness. Thank you. And welcome Sal to the call as well. Great to have you here. And curious if anyone else feels called to share.
I feel like fish in water in this one, Glad, because I've worked on most of those until I got to the one you stuck in there at the bottom. I am overwhelmed, and it was just so obvious that I had been believing that for quite a while.
Yes. Thank you, Abin. And so here's a useful distinction. This is a more advanced concept I include in level 2. Yeah, so thank you for that. That was great discovery. All right, we've got some other amazing souls entering the room. Robert and AJ, welcome. All right. And so these guys came in just in time to do a group exercise discovering core beliefs. And so I've got a list here. The purpose of the list is to illustrate that there's a lot of different language structures that our beliefs can have, right? So some people have a sense of, I can't do it. For other people, that's not it at all. It's, I can't do this. For other people, it's neither of those. It's an identity level belief. It's, I am not capable. I am inconsistent, right? For some people, it's, I don't know enough. For other people, that doesn't resonate whatsoever. It's, I'm not smart enough. And for other people, it's just, I am stupid. And so notice the underlying principle here is that we create our beliefs with the language that makes the most sense to us in the moment of creation. And so your belief system is as unique as your thumbprint. All of your beliefs are stored and encoded verbally in your own words. And so that's why at different portions of this slide, you see these parentheses. Maybe it's not, I'm a fraud. Maybe it's, I'm a fake. Maybe it's not, change is difficult. Maybe it's, change is hard, right? And so the invitation is play around with some of these. Which of these resonate most strongly for you? And if there's a little bit of resonance and you sense that there's something there, try changing the words around a little bit and see what comes up. See what resonates most strongly. And for those who just join, the invitation is to try saying some of these beliefs out loud as opposed to just reading them in your mind. When you speak the words of a belief out loud and it does resonate for you, you'll actually feel it more viscerally in your body. And that can give you a better sense of how strong or how deeply rooted that belief is, not just intellectually, but emotionally. So spend some time here. And for those who are courageous, I would love to hear which ones of these might resonate for you in the chat. There's one more useful tool though, because we can give you a list and you can, scan it and you can pick which ones resonate the most strongly. But this tool of sentence completions is teaching you how to fish in your subconscious to discover your limiting beliefs on command whenever you need to. And so the idea of these is really quite simple. You're basically prompting your subconscious mind. And if you allow yourself to just write down 6 to 12 spontaneous, unfiltered responses to the first halves of these sentences, your subconscious will just tell you exactly what your limiting beliefs are. So I'm curious, what's the first thing that comes up? My inner critic judges me as a loser, not working hard enough, not capable of supporting my family, not good enough. What comes up for you? If you're feeling brave, if you're feeling wise, go ahead and write down 6 to 12 spontaneous responses and let's share with each other here in the chat. And so my inner critic judges me as not trying hard enough. What comes up for you? You can also try, very powerful, AJ. Unworthy, imposter, not good enough. Aubin, powerful awareness, a screw up. Yeah. Brent saying, judges me as not good enough, doing enough, and frustrated. Yeah. And Ty sharing an empowering belief. If I fail, it means get up and try again. AJ's got an excellent one. If I fail, I'm an embarrassment. And so notice here that essentially the first part, if I fail, it means ... Whatever comes after that, that's the core belief. Failure is just the portal into discovering the core belief. If failure literally means nothing to you, it doesn't trigger any fears, you don't feel failure. The only reason that we feel fear failure is that we have beliefs that are core wounds that are getting triggered by the outside circumstance of failure. So that's what I mean when I say no one actually feels failure. What we fear is being an embarrassment. We fear losing everything. We fear being a screw up. It's the core belief that's underneath. So, excellent work, everyone. Someone come off mute to share a comment, or Forrest, you want to add something?
Yeah, and I was just going to say, and many times, like with these beliefs, even the word, fear of being an embarrassment, we could take it down to a level of just your neurology and that you're having a stress response and that your body can literally produce stress responses that are uncomfortable, and that we may call that stress, tension, heat, you may call that embarrassment, but really if you boil it down, it's all a stress response and your nervous system is just responding. And so it's like, even though we say that's being an embarrassment, but what most people are really afraid to fear is the sensations of their nervous system in a fully activated state. And, it's a very common thing today, even in the world of therapy coaching, where people have become afraid of feeling sensations in their body. Like the worst case scenario is to feel these sensations, to get into a scenario, something gets triggered and we're feeling sensations in our body. It's like, oh my gosh, this is the worst case scenario. I'm feeling sensations in my body. I'm alive. Just kidding. But that it's that type of stuff that, you know, we're also able to disconnect and leave behind with doing this work with the sovereign mind method, which makes it so, so powerful. And I'll just say from my experience, like how my body responds after doing a lot of this work is just so completely different. Like where there used to be stress responses, there is no stress response. Where there used to be a lot of other stuff that came up and jammed up my system and it would be hard to speak. Now it's just like, oh, cool. Now we just go and we just continue on. So it's powerful. Doing this work is powerful.
Love that. Thank you so much, Forrest. Yeah, it's important that people get that perspective as well. Amazing. And so I want to offer doing a live demonstration. We've now discovered what some of these beliefs are. And for the rest of the presentation here, I want to weave together a experience of letting go of these beliefs with education that's simultaneous. And so I wonder if we have any volunteers available who might be ready to let go of one of the beliefs that they found. I see Elena.
I have a little epiphany I wanted to say.
Please.
If I get rejected, the one thing that came out was I'll feel humiliated. And then I asked myself, well, what will be humiliating? And then it was like, people will be able to see I don't have any self-esteem. And they'll pity me. They'll feel sorry for me. They'll think I'm a sad sack.
That's powerful. And notice that there's a chain there, and it goes deeper and deeper until you get to that core of, man, people are just gonna think I'm a sad sack.
My dad thought I was a sad sack because my mom didn't give me any attention. He pitied me. He felt sorry for me.
Yeah. And so I'm curious, do you want to focus on there's something wrong with me? Or maybe just maybe I'm a sad sack.
I'm a sad sack. Let's do that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
People
That's
are gonna see I'm a sad sack. Oh my God.
so we always start with just speaking the words of the belief out loud and noticing what sensation comes up in the body, what thoughts come up in the mind. And so I'm curious, let's start with nonsense first to keep it light and get a good baseline.
I can feel stuff like coming up, like we've stirred up, the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
And stuff is like
Yeah. All of your emotions, all of your energy is totally welcome here, just so you know. What happens if you say, I am a happy rucksack of potatoes?
That feels good.
Try saying it out loud.
I'm a happy rucksack of potatoes. That makes me laugh.
Okay. What about I am the Beatles' 55th song?
On the Beatles' 55th song. That feels good too.
That feels light. And so pure neutral curiosity, what happens for you, Elena, when you say, I am a sad sack?
I'm a sad sack. Oh God. Because everything goes down. Yeah, I feel like I'm like actually melting into the ground.
So there's a melting sensation. Is there a sense of sadness with that too?
Yeah, it's really sad. Yeah.
Some heavy sadness.
Hopeless, hopeless.
Helpless. If you were to rate hopeless, yeah. If you were to rate the intensity of that on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like, God, this is unbearable. I cannot stand feeling this way. And a 1 is like, oh, was there a mosquito on me? Oh, yeah, whatever. Would you put
It's an
that?
8. It's about an 8.
Yeah. It's an 8 out of 10. Okay. And so I always start every conversation with a very direct question. Is this a belief that you would like to keep or let go of?
Oh, I like to let go of that. Wow, that's like a core belief.
Yeah. And so the very first question of the actual process is this. Is there any part of you, Elena, that might not be ready to let that go for any reason?
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
And can we?
It's been an identity for a long time.
Mhm. So you're skipping ahead, and this is perfect. I love your self-awareness. I feel like this is going to be a good one. So it's an identity level attachment, right? So
Mhm.
one of the core principles I'll share with everyone is that there we can have parts subconsciously that want to hold on to these beliefs for subconscious reasons. Sometimes it's to create a sense of safety and comfort. Sometimes it's to
Security.
create a sense of love with our parents and connection. And in this case, it sounds like it's part safety and part identity.
Mhm. It's my security. Yeah. It's like I know who I am.
Now that you've said that, I've got to actually share my screen and go to the little presentation slide. You see?
All right.
Yeah. So this is the education component, everyone. You can see it. It's from her words, not mine. Your inner child wants to hold on to the security blanket. And so we grow up 30, 40, however many years, and we turn into an adult, and we're still holding on to the same security blanket because our inner child by default never lets go of that belief, that security blanket, until we ask. So back to you and me. I wonder, Elena, if we can just welcome the part of you that's holding on to that belief into this conversation, and really welcome it with love, with curiosity, and just try to understand it.
Mhm. Oh, feels like tears. Yeah. Feels tears. Yes.
Yeah. We just honor this part and hold it through that sadness and just envelop it in love.
Mm.
Hmm. And is it okay if I ask this part of you some questions?
Yeah. Okay.
My first question is, are you holding on to this to some degree because it feels safe? It feels comfortable?
It's all I have.
Mm, all I have. Elena, I wonder if you might be open to updating this part of you, that you have quite a lot more in your life at this stage than just that belief. You have people and relationships that love you. You have people who support you. You have a roof over your head. Can this part see that it's not true anymore? That this is all that you have?
Yeah.
And I wonder if this part might be open to the possibility that there could be some other strategies to create a sense of safety and comfort that feel really good, that feel a lot better than this idea of being a sad sack. For example, surrounding yourself with high quality people, um, meaningful relationships can create a sense of interpersonal safety. Locking your doors at night can create physical safety, like, is this part open to the possibility that there might be some healthy, really aligned strategies for you to create safety?
Yeah. Yeah.
And kind of flipping it on its head, could it be possible that holding on to the identity of being a sad sack keeps you in a constricted and limited state of being, less in your power, and by virtue of being less connected to your true self, in very subtle but noticeable ways, could that belief actually get in the way of being safe?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then let's talk about identity. Do you actually want your identity to be grounded in a sense of being a sad sack?
No. Well, it's funny. There was a part that was hesitant, and it was like, well, I kind of enjoy the pity, kind of enjoy the sympathy.
Hmm. Let's love that part for its honesty. Yeah.
Like, hey, if you can't have love,
Can't have love, you can settle for pity. I wonder if this part might be open to the idea that there's a lot of different ways that Elena can create a healthy sense of identity. And there's a lot of potential identities that would actually work a lot better for her in this stage of her life than being a sad sack.
yeah, I feel curious.
Yeah. What's one thing that you really love in your life, in your experience about yourself? Just one thing that you really do love.
I'm a singer.
Oh, okay. Maybe just as a possibility, could it make more sense to identify with the beauty and the art and the love that you create with your voice instead of identifying as a sad sack?
Oh, that'd be a lot more fun.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. AJ showing up with support in the chat. Thank you. Um,
Oh, nice. Thank
yeah.
you, AJ.
Yeah. It's beautiful. And so, can this part see as a possibility that maybe this is not the only way to have a healthy identity, believing that we're a sad sack?
Yeah.
And with all of this in mind, I wonder if the part might be open to letting go of that old belief, the idea that you're a sad sack, knowing that on the other side of it, you actually get to experience more safety and a healthier identity.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Just think that part of you with just love and compassion for being open to letting go. It's beautiful.
Mhm. She likes being talked to. Nobody talks to her.
Oh, yeah. That's quite wonderful. Hmm. And when that feels complete, just let me know and we can move to the next part of the process.
Feels pretty good.
All right.
Yeah, something really released.
Yes. Yes. So the principle here, everyone, is that we really do have subconscious parts of our psyche that can hold on to these beliefs and these old identities, and they'll hold on with an iron grip and they won't let go. But if you intentionally bring them into your awareness with love, with compassion, with curiosity, you seek to understand these parts of yourself and you give them the love, the attention, the guidance, the wisdom, the direction that they didn't receive from mom and dad. You reparent yourself, you love yourself in that way. Those parts of us can be willing to let go. And once we're in a state of full readiness, every part of our being ready to let it go, you're about to see that letting go of the belief is actually pretty simple. So I'll go ahead and present my screen here real quick just to weave in more of the exact questions. The first magic question of the process is there any part of me that's not ready to let this go for any reason? If so, why? And this reveals the hidden logical reasons that we're holding on to it. If the answer is no, then you can just move on to the next step, which we're about to do. But if the answer is yes, welcome that part of you with curiosity and compassion and help it see that it's safe to let go. So now we move on to visual sense processing. And I'll do a little bit of presentation before we get into it. So this is quite humorous. Once upon a time, probably everyone in this room and everyone watching had a belief called Santa is real. And we knew that Santa was real. because we saw Santa. We saw him in the malls, we saw him on TV, we saw Santa, and seeing is believing. And so we believed in Santa for years and years, right up until someone told us, some older kid or some adult told us, hey, you didn't actually see Santa. You saw a fat dude in a costume. And in that moment, the belief in Santa was shattered and it never, ever came back. And so we'll get to this in just a moment. We're going to apply the same principle to our limiting beliefs. I'll walk you through a simple version of this. Elena, go ahead and take a look at your hand. It doesn't matter which one. And the first question is really simple, just yes or no. Do you see your hand?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Do you see I am a sad sack anywhere on or in your hand?
No.
No. Okay. I believe you. And I think that if you looked at your body for 100 years, you'd never be able to see I am a sad sack, right?
Right.
Right. So look in the world around you, just the environment. Do you see I am a sad sack anywhere?
No, it's pretty clean in here.
It's pretty clean. It's great. Wow. I love it. In some sense, Elena, I'm asking you an impossible question because you can't see meaning dangling around in three-dimensional space. We create meaning in our minds and then we project it onto the environment of what we see. And so I'll ask you a question. Did you ever actually see at any point in your life that you are a sad sack?
I guess I saw it in my dad's eyes. Yeah.
You couldn't be more perfect. Like, thank you, Elena. Okay. So let's illustrate this principle here. In your mind, go ahead and bring up your father's face and just take a look at that moment when you saw it in his eyes. And let me know when you're with it.
It's interesting. It's more, I had more sense. I could feel him thinking it. Yeah. It wasn't so much in his eyes. I could feel him thinking it. Yeah.
Feel him thinking it. Yeah.
Mhm.
So just keep looking at his eyes and I'll ask a question. If we were to take this snapshot of this moment and put it on a billboard in New York Times Square and 162,000 people saw it one day, just because they glanced up and they saw your father's eyes exactly like that, would they all spontaneously turn into sad sacks and be that way for the rest of their lives?
Most of them no. Some of them might. Most of them not.
Yeah, but in all seriousness, just because someone sees that look, does it
Mhm.
mean that they
That's true.
genetically morph into a sad sack forever?
Mhm. Right. No.
The answer is no. Like, thank God. That's not what that means. And so look closely at your father's eyes. And the question is, do you see I am a sad sack, or do you see your father looking at you a particular way?
Yeah, I don't see I'm a sad sack. I just see my dad being himself.
Right. Thank goodness.
Mm.
And so folks, I'll pause here and I'll go back to the presentation a little bit and just illustrate. This is like perfectly aligned, like you couldn't make this up. So I'll go ahead and share screen again. So it's almost the exact example that we used earlier, right? It's like, what do you actually literally see with your own two eyes? I am not enough. In this case, I am a sad sack. or father's stern eyes and face. It's like, well, I just see his eyes. I just see his face. When you break that agreement that you made, that his eyes mean that I am a sad sack, you become free from that in that memory. And there's only so many images in your mind that are tied to that specific belief. And so you can go through them. A little boy that gets bullied. What do you see? I am not enough, or 3 kids pointing and laughing in the year 2006 or 1982 or whatever, the image from our past. What do you see? I am not enough, or the letter F on a piece of paper from my 5th grade math test the first time that I ever failed. When you break the agreement that you made, that this experience means that, you become free from the belief visually. And so, just backing up, Elena, look through your past. Did you ever actually see, dangling around in 3-dimensional space, that you are a sad sack?
No. I just kind of took it and ran with it, believing it was true.
Mhm. Yeah. Are you sure? Did you really look around?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm,
Oh, awesome.
I don't see it anyway.
Here's a question. This is just my intuition from my experience. Have you ever heard that you're a sad sack?
My dad did tell me he felt sorry for me. He didn't say you're a sad sack, but did tell me he felt sorry for me.
Okay. If your father encounters a veteran who doesn't have legs, and he just felt charitable one day and he said, "Man, I just feel so sorry for your loss. Here's some money. I hope you enjoy a nice meal on me. Thank you so much." Just because your father said, "I feel sorry for you," to that other person, would that turn them into a sad sack forever?
No, but there's something there. It's almost like when people think something about you, it kind of sticks you there or something. There's something sticky about it.
Right. Right. And so this is another level of agreement, that when someone says something or thinks something about me, it means that that's true. It means that they're right, until we decide, no, I disagree. That's not my truth. That's your opinion. That's your thought. And your thought is not my thought. And so when your father told you once upon a time that he felt sorry for you, truly, Elena, did that mean that you're a sad sack?
No, it just meant that my dad had his own way of looking at things.
Right.
Right.
Wow. Whew. Thank goodness.
I used to tell him to shut up. I didn't want him to share all of his folksy wisdom with me because it was so cemented.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Doing great, Elena. And so I'm curious, just to ask one more time, being thorough, at any point in your entire life, did you see that you were a sad sack?
No,
Oh.
I didn't.
You sound fairly confident. I believe you.
Wow.
Wow.
It's like being set out of prison. That,
Yeah.
really is.
What are you feeling right now?
Yeah, just a sense of freedom. Like, wow. Yeah. I'm not a friggin' sad sack. Who knew?
God bless. So beautiful.
It's so funny because a half an hour before this happened, somebody said something on a text and I reacted to it. And it was all about feeling judged and evaluated. And we had a little thing. I was still talking to her when this started. And yes, it was like spot on. There must be a God.
There must be. Yeah.
Somebody
agree.
orchestrating this, right?
Heaven, yes. And so, yeah, I want to share you guys the magic question that facilitated this beautiful transformation. And this is something you can ask yourself anytime. The magic question is, have I ever actually seen this belief with my own two eyes? Have I ever actually seen that I'm not enough? Have I ever actually seen there's something wrong with me? Have I ever actually seen men can't be trusted, women are not safe? The answer, in truth, is no, 100% of the time. That's our story that we made up, that we then projected onto reality. It was never the reality itself. So look back through all of your memories tied to that belief. Try to find it and fail, because you can't, because it was never there. There were people behaving in the memory. You got to be honest with yourself, though, about what you truly saw. And the truth, 100% of the time, is that we saw people behaving and stuff happening. We did not see the belief itself. And that's what shifts your perspective, is asking yourself, did I ever actually see this? The answer is no. Now, you may have an image in your mind that feels strongly tied to it, like Elena did. This is the most common one. I saw it in their eyes. But if you zoom in on their eyeball, you don't see the words, right? So the good news is we didn't actually see it in their eyes. We saw it and we interpreted their eyes. So that's the core essence of it. And so let's check in, Elena. What happens now in your experience if you say out loud, I am a sad black cow?
I'm a
Just
sad black cow.
nonsense.
Yeah.
And what happens now if you say, I am a sad sack?
I'm a sad sack. There's a little something in my
Uh-huh.
heart.
Uh-huh.
But pretty much it's ridiculous.
Right. So this is the power of having a multisensory mind and body approach, is that just clearing out the mind, we've
Mhm.
taken it from an 8 down to a 2.
Mhm.
So you go from an 8 to a 2 just by asking that one question. And now we get to clear out the sensation in the body.
Mhm.
And so, Elena, go ahead and bring up that sensation, that feeling of I am a sad sack, and just connect with it. And let me know when you feel present with that feeling.
Yeah, God, it's right here in my heart.
And is there any emotional quality to it, or is it just a sensation?
Yeah, I'm so sorry for myself. It feels sad and
Yeah.
sorry. I feel
Sad,
so
sorry,
pitying. Yeah.
sad, sorry, pity. Okay.
Mhm.
Is there any tension as well? Tightness?
There's a little bit of anger.
Yeah.
A little anger. Yeah.
And let's just ask your parts one more time. Is there any part that doesn't feel ready to let these sensations go for any reason?
Yeah, something's angry. Doesn't want
Yeah.
to let it go.
Yeah. Yeah. And can we welcome that part of you with some love and curiosity?
Mm-hmm. Feels like it has to do with my dad, like, not being, like being unloyal to my dad or something, or being, if I give this up, it'll disconnect me from my dad.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of fear and sadness about that.
Let's just honor and really love this part for its positive intention. It wants you to have a connection with your father. That's really important.
Loves my daddy. Yeah, loves my daddy.
Yeah. And so just sending that part some love and some appreciation for its desire to preserve, protect your connection with Daddy. We all want that. My sincere curiosity is, could this part see as a possibility that there might be some other ways for you to intentionally create a connection with Dad beyond believing that you're a sad sack? Is your father still alive?
No.
Could one alternative way to connect with Dad be prayer, meditation, sending him love?
Yeah.
Could that possibly create a richer connection than holding on to the fear-based sadness, sorrow, and pity of I'm a sad sack?
Boy, it's very determined.
Oh,
Oh no, I'm gonna let go.
okay.
Huh.
And just ask it why.
Feels like something like wanting to be right. My dad was always right.
Mm,
Um, I'm on the right side. Yeah.
Thank you. This is a beautiful illustration of how sometimes when we go deep and get right to the 1 yard line of clearing out a belief, some other parts and some other beliefs can show up in the picture as well.
Fumble the touchdown, right?
No, you're not fumbling. If anything, you're getting even closer because you're discovering the final barriers to actually
Uh-huh.
being able to let it go.
Yeah, there's like this. Well, there were sides in my family, and it was me and my dad against my mom and my brothers. So it's like that, sense of loyalty. Um,
I wonder if it feels good and feels true to you, Elena. Maybe you could update this part that we're no longer living with Dad, that we're always on his side. We love him. And letting go of this doesn't change the fact that we love him and that we value our connection with him.
it's funny. Part of the update is Dad's gone.
True that.
Dad's gone. Yeah, Dad's gone. And yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the sides aren't there anymore.
Beautiful. Even better.
Mhm.
Even better. And how does this part feel now about letting go?
It's a little bit in shock, that Dad's not there, but yeah, it's much more calmed down and willing. Yeah.
Just thank it, send it love, appreciation. And if it feels good, you can just hold that part of yourself for a moment as it
Mhm.
integrates from this update.
Yeah, it's a shock.
Just be there with it, love it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. And do all parts feel on board to let go of the last little bit of this belief?
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, every part of Elena.
And
Fantastic.
Forrest, he's my cheering section.
Yeah, he really is. Go Forrest, go
Thank you,
Forrest.
Forrest.
So much love. All right.
Absolutely.
Okay. So now just get present with that sadness, that pity, that sorrow.
Well, it's leaking out. It's leaking away.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Quite often when that last part lets go, it lets go of everything. And let's try to see if there might be some residue. Try saying it out loud. I am a sad sack. And if there's a sensation that comes up, place your attention on it and just grab it with your attention.
I'm a sad sack. I don't know why something wants to say, I'm a sad fucking sack. I don't know what, like part of me is angry at me for being that way.
Mm. Mhm.
Yeah. But you really stick me there too, I guess.
These things are so nuanced. You know, one possibility is that there could be a separate belief called I am a sad fucking sack that an inner critical part uses as a repeat judgment, a little spear to throw at.
Well, it just has limited me so much in my life. You know, I'm sure that I felt really angry at that part of myself that wouldn't let go of that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But basically it feels pretty clean.
Hmm.
Yeah. It does feel like something, like a different thing. I'll deal with that. Yeah.
And are you attuned to energy in your field, in your body?
Uh-huh.
Well, try this. See what happens when you declare out loud, there's no energy in my field that means I'm a sad sack.
I'll just take a look. Yeah, there's no energy in my field that means I'm a sad sack.
What do you notice when you declare that? Did any energy move or shift within?
It just feels pretty good. It feels,
Yeah.
yeah, like that's true.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And another component is sense into it, Elena. Do you feel that there's any identity level attachment with that belief?
No, in fact, I hear the phrase, I can walk away from that. I can
Yeah.
walk away.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was, boy, perfect timing.
My true honor.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It pays to follow those little crumbs, those little breadcrumbs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, everyone, if it feels good for you, just give a hand of gratitude, of appreciation to Elena.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, Gladius. Is that your real name?
Yes, it is.
Gladius. What a great name.
Thank you. Oh, wonderful. Yeah. We got claps coming from AJ, and Raj writes, thank you for sharing. And yeah, this is excellent. So folks, you've seen it for yourself, and there's nothing inaccessible about this process to you. It really boils down to just asking yourself the right questions and following through the process with love and curiosity for every part of your being. There's a little bit more. I will go ahead, because I did say that this is going to be the grand reveal of the sovereign mind method. Not every process looks the same, but let's imagine for a moment that Elena, maybe instead of having a part come up at the very end, had some more emotion and sensation come up. This is what we would do in order to help dispel that. So on the right-hand side, we have someone who is under the illusion of a limiting belief. And they say to themselves, I feel like I'm not enough. I feel like a burden. I feel like I'm too much. On the left-hand side, we have the truth of what's actually happening. Sensations are occurring in the body. There's tension in the neck. There's fear in the chest. There's shame in the belly. So what's actually true, what's actually happening in reality, they don't feel not enough. Those are words. People do not feel words. People feel emotions and sensations. So this is the key distinction. No one in human history has ever felt not enough, not worthy. We feel emotions and sensations in our body, and we label them as not enough, not worthy. That's what's actually literally happening. And so the question is she feeling the English sentence, I am not enough? Or is she feeling tension, fear, shame? Well, it's obvious. She's feeling tension, fear, and shame. And so this is the magic question that allows you to break the agreement that you made once upon a time that your sensations have that meaning. The question is, does feeling this tension, this fear, this shame, does this actually mean I'm not enough? And the answer 100% of the time, in truth, is no. It doesn't mean that. It never meant that. You made up that it meant that, and then you agreed to it, and then you felt that way for years and decades and decades and decades. And when you ask the question with your attention placed on the sensation itself, does this energy, does this clenching of my throat, does this sadness behind my eyes, does whatever this sensation is that's tied to this particular belief, does it actually mean that I'm a piece of crap? Does it actually mean that there's something wrong with me? No. The moment that you say no, you break the agreement. The moment you break the agreement, the emotional energy is no longer tied to that spell, and the belief loses its emotional power over you. So the core idea is that people don't feel English words. People don't feel sentences. People feel sensations. The magic question is, hey, what are the emotions and sensations that are tied to this belief? What do you mean when you say, I feel like a burden? Well, I feel this hunching over sensation like I want to be small. Okay, great. Allow those emotions and sensations that are tied to that belief to surface and allow yourself to experience them fully. So for example, the belief I'm not good enough feels like shame in my stomach, tension in my throat, fear in my chest. And then the next magic question, does this emotion, does this sensation, does this energy truly mean that I'm a burden? Does it truly mean that I can't do it? Does it truly mean that I can't trust myself? Isolate each sensation, just do them one at a time as a beginner. Ask yourself that question, and you'll feel the emotion, the sensation disconnect from the belief. And in that moment, you're free. So that's the sovereign mind method. And as you can see firsthand, it results in the liberation from limiting beliefs that have held us back our entire lives. It's quite simple. It was engineered to be simple so that anyone can learn to facilitate it for themselves. You are your guru. You are your healer. And I'm just here reminding you that that's your power.